When Meghan Markle steps onto the CBS Morning set expecting a soft interview, she instead encounters a version of Gayle King she has never seen before: precise, unshakable, and unwilling to let contradictions slide. As tensions rise and the cameras roll live, a psychological duel unfolds, revealing secrets, motives, and insecurities neither woman planned to expose. What begins as polished morning television spirals into a raw, uncontainable confrontation the network will never forget. This recording wasn't supposed to air. Producers tried to bury it, delete it, pretend it never happened. But someone pulled it from the servers, and once you hear what unfolded on that stage, you'll understand why CBS panicked. What started as a standard morning interview became something darker: a slow, psychological collision between two women who both believed they were in control. And if you stay till the end, you'll never look at celebrity interviews the same way again. It began on a crisp Tuesday morning, the kind where the studio lights felt a bit too bright and the coffee tasted a bit too strong. Gayle King had been up since 4:30 a.m., her ritual for decades. Calm voice, warm energy, unshakable poise, she was the anchor people trusted to begin their day. But that morning, she felt a hum of something unspoken in the control room. A producer kept tapping his pen. A stagehand avoided eye contact. Even the makeup artist seemed nervous as she dusted powder across Gayle's cheekbones. The name on the cue card explained everything: Meghan Markle. Meghan arrived 16 minutes late, not surprising, not unusual, but noticeable in a live broadcast world where seconds mattered. She glided across the studio floor in a navy blazer and soft waves of hair, smiling the kind of smile that photographers adore: polished, intentional, almost reflective. But the moment she sat down, Gayle sensed an invisible wall rise between them. Not hostility. Not defensiveness. Something more subtle: superiority, maybe, or a rehearsed readiness to counter any narrative that wasn't hers. The interview began smoothly enough, as these things always do. Gayle asked about Meghan's new initiative, a global awareness campaign with a sleek website and a heart-tugging mission statement. Meghan answered with calm confidence, her voice measured, almost musical. Her hands stayed perfectly still in her lap. She didn't blink much. To a casual viewer, she seemed serene. To Gayle, something felt controlled. Too controlled. That's when Gayle shifted. A tiny adjustment of posture. A slight lean forward. The move she made when she was about to test the waters. "Meghan," she began gently, "you've spoken often about your personal truth. But some people question parts of your story. For example, your comments to Oprah about a private ceremony before the official wedding. The Archbishop later said that didn't happen. How do you reconcile that?" The studio temperature dropped like a stone. Meghan's smile tightened. "Not much, just enough for cameras to capture it." "Well, Gayle," she said, her voice velvet with an edge, "people tend to obsess over technicalities instead of emotional reality. What Harry and I experienced was sacred. Whether others choose to nitpick the details, that's on them." Gayle nodded, but the nod felt heavier. Less appeasing, more analytical. Some might say truth should be universal, not just emotional. A soft laugh slipped from Meghan, brittle and dismissive. "With all due respect, Gayle, you weren't there." The audience rustled. Gayle didn't break eye contact. She'd interviewed presidents, survivors, war correspondents, people who knew how to sit in the heat of a tough question. Meghan's defensiveness hit different. Not emotional, but strategic, as if she were fencing, counting moves. The next topic made the sparks fly: media training. Meghan had said in past interviews she received none. Multiple palace staff claimed she had extensive briefings. So, Gayle asked, are they lying? Meghan's smile vanished. "Palace insiders," she said, dripping disdain, "built their careers protecting an outdated institution. Forgive me if I don't validate their narratives." Gayle inhaled slowly. The kind of breath a person takes when they know a conversation is about to shift into deeper, more dangerous waters. She glanced at the teleprompter, then deliberately ignored it. "Let's pivot, then. You've said you left royal life for privacy. But since then, you've done books, documentaries, multiple high-profile interviews. Critics say that doesn't align. How do you reconcile wanting privacy with remaining so public? Meghan froze for one beat. Privacy, she replied icily, means control. It does not mean silence. And frankly, I don't need to justify that to anyone. That line, I don't need to justify that to anyone, hit Gayle like a slap. She had been respectful, patient, empathetic. Meghan's tone felt less like self-defense and more like contempt. The audience felt it, too. A murmur moved through them like a low current. Gayle tried again. Our viewers just want clarity. Meghan leaned in, her voice sharpening. Then maybe they should try harder to understand instead of questioning me. A few people in the audience gasped. Inside the control room, someone whispered, "We need a commercial break." Someone else replied, "No. Keep rolling." The interview was no longer a conversation. It was psychological combat. Gayle placed her note cards down neatly, one by one. "Meghan," she said softly, "your tone right now, it doesn't make it easy for people to hear your message." Meghan tilted her head. "Maybe that's because my truth makes people uncomfortable." Gayle felt something crack inside. A small thing, but real. She'd held steady through more crises than she could count, but Meghan's arrogance pressed on her like a weight. Lines rehearsed in bathrooms and green rooms, not heartfelt, not vulnerable, just weaponized. "So let me understand," Gayle said, her voice steady but firmer, "you want the platform, but not the questions?" Meghan rolled her eyes. On live TV. At Gayle King. That was the moment something in Gayle snapped, quietly, inwardly, like a pencil under too much pressure. She leaned forward, her voice low enough that the audience leaned in. "You've dismissed every question I've asked. You've implied viewers are ignorant if they don't immediately agree with you. That's not leadership, Meghan. That's arrogance." A stunned silence swallowed the room. Meghan blinked, thrown off balance. "Excuse me?" Gayle didn't stop. Couldn't stop. "You say you want service, but your projects are overshadowed by your own narrative. You say you left for privacy, but you've built a brand on exposure. And I'm going to say something others are afraid to say out loud." Meghan's breath trembled. "If you weren't married to Prince Harry, none of it would exist." A shockwave rolled through the studio. The audience froze, half horrified, half electrified. Meghan's eyes flooded with tears she fought desperately to hold back. That's cruel," she whispered. "No," Gayle said softly. "That's the truth. And the truth matters." Meghan stood abruptly, her chair scraping across the floor. Her hands shook as she grabbed her purse. "I don't have to take this." Gayle didn't move. "Then don't. But people deserve honesty, Meghan. Not curated victimhood." Meghan choked on a sob and hurried toward the exit. The cameras caught every trembling step, every tear catching the studio light. The door shut behind her with a hollow echo. For several seconds, no one breathed. Then Gayle faced the camera with a calm that didn't match the storm behind her eyes. "This is live television," she said quietly. "Sometimes truth is uncomfortable. But it still matters." The director cut to commercial. But the moment lived on, shared, whispered about, dissected. The interview Gayle never intended to explode became a cultural earthquake. And here's the part that wasn't supposed to leak. After the cameras stopped, Gayle sat alone in the dimmed studio for almost a full minute. Not triumphant. Not angry. Something else, something heavier. A quiet sadness for what fame does to people. For the cost of platform and power. For how quickly truth can twist into performance. She whispered, to no one in particular, "It didn't have to be like this. But maybe, just maybe, it always would have ended this way." Because when two women who both believe they own the narrative sit across from each other, only one walks away with it. And the other walks away shaken, wondering if the world just saw the real her or the one she tried so hard to hide.